This section of the course is completely dedicated to the OSI model, and so what we're going to do in this video is we're going to do a bit of a review on the OSI model, and then what we'll be doing is we'll be dedicating a lecture to each layer of the OSI model. So let's go ahead and get started. So remember that the OSI model stands for the Open Systems Interconnection Reference Model, and it's a conceptual framework that shows us how data moves throughout a network. So why was it developed? Well, remember, it was developed to give us a guide to see how networks operate and to see how data moves throughout a network. And remember that there are unique protocols at each layer. And one of the most important things with this we have to remember is that this is only a reference model. Remember, this was not implemented. It's only a reference model. And in the real world, remember, TCP/IP was implemented instead. So remember that the OSI model is a stack of different layers, and within those layers there's a total of 7, and we have upper layers and we have lower layers. And so if you remember with the upper layers, we will call those the host layers, meaning these are the activities that happen on the computer itself. So we're talking about the activities that happen on the host computer, such as formatting the data, encrypting the data, and managing the network connection, so setting up sessions and tearing them down. Now, the lower layers are the layers that we call the media layers, and these are network-specific layers. So these are the activities that happen on the network, such as the routing, the MAC addressing, and the flow control of the data going across the network. Now, let's go ahead and let's do a review of what the stack looks like. Remember, we have 7 different layers. We have our host layers on the top, and we have our media layers on the bottom, meaning our network layers. And remember, we have this nice little phrase to help us remember what these different layers are called. And it is, please do not throw sausage pizza away. And remember that everything links together. So let me get my little arrow tool together, and we'll go ahead and I'll show you what I mean by this. And let me get this in an easy color. So the first letter on each one is going to align with the first letter over here as well. And you'll notice that when we say it, we start with the bottom, we go to the top. So please do not throw sausage pizza away, and the first letter is going to align with the first letter here. So for those of you that are studying to take the Network Plus or the CCENT or the CCNA, having something like this to memorize this is something that's going to be really good for you. Now, in terms of how this is laid out, remember we have our host layers up here, and so we have our host layers at the top. So the top 4 layers here are the host layers, meaning that's the activities that happen on the computer. And then the bottom 3 layers happen on the network. Now, I'm not going to go into detail, and I'm not going to talk about this specifically because we're going to talk about this in detail in the upcoming lectures. So we don't need to talk about the actual roles of the layers right now. And just one more slide as a reference guide. Remember the process. We talked about how this works. Remember that everything starts up here at the top, and you're in there and you're inputting stuff on your computer. And remember, this goes down from here and down the stack until it's formatted so the data can be sent off in packets of information across the network wire. And then it goes across the network wire, and then it goes up the stack, so it goes the exact opposite way until it gets back up to the other computer. So that's how it works. It goes down the stack on one side, and I'll draw an arrow this way. So assume we have a computer here and we have a computer here. It goes down the stack on one side, starting with the application layer, and it ends at the physical layer, and then it goes across the network, and then once it gets to the computer that needs to receive the data, it goes up the stack. And so we're taking this data and rebuilding it so the person can see it. So that's our quick recap on the OSI model and our quick introduction for those of you that didn't watch the introductory video. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and jump into videos. We're going to talk about each specific layer on its own. So let's go ahead and get into that.